So good afternoon and welcome to a special welcome to everyone here present and those joining us on Zoom. First, let me set the protocol for today's session. Professor Mark Rivera, Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia, Mr. Sanjay Krishna, Global Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, President of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation and Tobago, past assistant governors, district chair for the public image, John Paddy, he might be on Zoom, he isn't here as yet, presidents and past presidents of Rotary clubs, board and members of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, our distinguished audience on Zoom. Let me welcome you all to the launch of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. At our seminar today in the room 27, Sir Frank Stockdale building at the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus. Let me first of all introduce Professor Garcia. Some of you may know me from Rotary as being a partner in service, and others being a student here in this faculty, and yes, I am both. And I'm also a member of this Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation. But without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia. He is an exceptional individual whose contributions to livestock science and animal production at the UE have left a lasting impact. Our paths crossed many years ago when he held the position of General Manager of the Sugarcane Feed Center. I fortunately, unfortunately, was Trinidad Aggregate Products at the time. I had the privilege of being a student during my undergraduate years. I'm proud to say, under his expert guidance, I achieved success when I won the prestigious UE Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture Prize for my research project. This was purely under his supervision. Today, I'm grateful to have Professor Garcia as my mentor while pursuing a postgraduate degree in tropical agriculture. His wisdom and support has been invaluable to me and to many others. Throughout his journey at the UE, Professor Garcia has achieved numerous milestones, serving as a lecturer in animal production, coordinator of animal production teaching, and livestock operations manager at the University Field Station. His impact has been profound, shaping the minds of countless students through innovative teaching methodologies. Beyond Professor Garcia engages with non-governmental organizations, reflecting his commitment to making a difference. Now, as Professor Emeritus, he focuses on developing the Center for Neotropical Animals Conservation, Utilization, Production, and Health, further in his dedication to the betterment of our world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor to present to you Professor Emeritus Gary Wayne Garcia. Please.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, all protocols observed in the best interest of time. And I would just like to say, I feel very honored to be a mentor for somebody who is really my elder brother. And we have known each other for in excess of 40 years. Mr. Sanjay Krishna, President of the Rotary Fellowship for Wildlife for Conservation. I am and shall be eternally grateful for your initiative, which has led the way for us in the Caribbean now to be able to share your experiences in India. My job is simply to introduce our dean, and he is going to welcome all who are in this online launch today. And if I may just punctuate and say, we feel very privileged because of Maria Mohammed Maraj's initiative to make this the first fellowship group outside of India and Australia. Professor Mark Woodavira is our Dean of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, which spans ICTA 1921, UCWI Faculty of Agriculture 1960 to 63, UWI from 1963 to the present, as the Faculty of Food and Agriculture name was changed slightly in 2012 to the present. Professor Woodavira is the Professor of Agricultural and Environmental Soil Physics. And as you know, soils and the land and the earth is at the foundation of all life on this planet. And therefore, he and his discipline is basically part of the important foundation of conservation. Because if we miss our understanding and management of the soil and the land, we would not be able to conserve anything on planet Earth. So let me welcome Professor, our Dean of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, who also is from Nigeria. And he chose to come to St. Augustine because of the history that we have had in teaching and research in agriculture in the tropics since 1921. Professor Woodavira.
Thank you very much, Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia, for that wonderful introduction. And also, of course, he has given us a very fundamental in soils already. So I really appreciate this, and I want to appreciate this opportunity to speak on this very precious occasion, important occasion of this launch. And well, I think the MC for the protocol for me. So I want to welcome everybody, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our esteemed guests and fellow conservation enthusiasts. Of course, Professor Emeritus Garcia has he highlighted the importance of soil when you're talking about conservation. And so I'm also a conservation enthusiast. And today, we gather here to celebrate the launch of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. I am honored to address you all on the behalf of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture. You also heard the history of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture and how significant this history is. And Professor Emeritus Garcia was very right, because that is what the 20 years and still going. And let me take a moment to acknowledge the fruitful interaction we've had with the Rotary community last year and even year before last. Your immediate past district governor, Leslie Ramdani, paid a visit to our faculty. While the primary purpose of his visit was not Rotary related, but he took the opportunity to discuss some collaboration between the Rotary Club and the Faculty of Food and Agriculture. And of course, it's been our push to ensure that we build partnerships, we build relationships and collaborations that will down to the of our region. And so we are keen to explore the possibility of having our students to volunteer with Rotary clubs, integrating such experiences into their internship or earning co-curricular credits. Earlier this year, we already took a step forward by partnering with Rotary on the project fair. Under the guidance of Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia, this project, which embodies over 3 decades of research, is poised to make a significant impact in the near future. It is fascinating to note that our faculty, which originated from the Imperial College of Tropical Agriculture, ICTA, was officially established on August 30th, 1921, just about 16 years after the inception of Rotary Club on 23rd of February, 1905. Both our organizations, with more than a century of history, have been at the vanguard of building and empowering communities. Today, we unite under the banner of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, forging a powerful alliance built on shared values and a common vision for a sustainable future. And looking back in time, over 100 years ago, I was not there then, the work with neotropical animals began with the formation of the Field Naturalist Club, comprising scholarly academic laymen. Their vision for natural tropical biological science through noble was rooted in a Eurocentric point of view. Notably, at that time, there were no institutions of higher learning or higher education in the English-speaking Caribbean, including our own ICTA. Nonetheless, progress prevailed, and the Field Naturalist Club later collaborated with the zoology and botany units at ICTA from 1921 to 1959. Together, they advance the scientific knowledge of our flora and fauna, especially their impact on crops and animals that held significance for the European settlers in the region. However, it's essential to recognize that the focus of training and research at ICTA and UWI primarily revolved around animals that were imported into the Caribbean by the Europeans. And many of them were not native to our region. The primary thrust was centered on export plantation crops, reflecting the economic priorities of that era. Today, as we embark on this new chapter with the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, it is our duty to expand the horizons of our conservation efforts. Let us embrace a broader perspective that encompasses the protection of both native and non-native species, ensuring the ecological balance that sustains our natural heritage. In conclusion, as we unite our passions, knowledge, and resources, we have the opportunity to make a profound difference in the conservation landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us forge ahead with determination, envisioning a future where harmony between wildlife and humanity prevails, leaving a lasting legacy of generations to come. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, and let us together embark on this journey of safeguarding our precious wildlife and preserving the sanctity of our neotropical part of the world. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Faculty of Food and Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Professor Whitaker. Let me just take the opportunity now to welcome Tanya Weston, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Central Port Spain and an executive member of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. She would introduce Sanjay Krishna, the global chair. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, our viewers online. It is a great pleasure to introduce our feature presenter, a distinguished Rotarian whose expertise lies in the field of legal practice, specializing in litigation. Since 2008-2009, he's been a dedicated member of the Rotary Bangalore Rajmahal Villas in the Rotary District, International District of 3192. During his Rotary Vision journey, he has held prestigious positions. Thank you. He's held prestigious He's held prestigious positions, including serving as his club president during the year 2019-2020. His commitment to international relations is evident through his role as chair of international fellowships in the Rotary year 2020-2021, and subsequently as director of the international fellowships for 2 consecutive years in the Rotary year 2021 and 2022. Currently, our guest is fulfilling the crucial responsibility of chair of legal advisory for Rotary International during this current year. But that's not all. Sanjay Krishna's passion and dedication extends beyond Rotary. He holds the esteemed position of global chair and founder director of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation from 2021 to next year, 2024. This fellowship is dedicated to the preservation of wildlife with the vision statement, "Together we make protection of wildlife a way of life." Delving into Sanjay's personal background, we discover the root for his love of nature and wildlife. This was inspired by his great-grandfather, who was also a lawyer. He chose naturally law as a profession. Growing up near the captivating Western Ghats, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a biodiversity hotspot, he fostered a deep appreciation for the natural world. Exploring various sanctuaries, he developed an enduring connection to wildlife, leading him to undergo the naturalist training program with jungle lodges and resorts, further enriching his knowledge and understanding. Today, Sanjay expresses his profound love for nature through his passion for photography, striving to capture its existence and expand his knowledge. On a more personal note, Sanjay's love for music is a gift passed down from his mother. He finds joy in exploring various musical genres, while singing remains one of his favorite hobbies. Sanjay's journey through life has been beautifully intertwined with his wife, a fellow lawyer and college mate. Not only is she the love of his life, she is also the law in his life, standing as a pillar of strength during the most challenging times. Together, they're proud parents of their only daughter, Saranya, who is currently pursuing her master's in law at the prestigious London School of Economics in the UK. Please welcome a remarkable Rotarian, the Global Chair of Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, whose dedication and love for wildlife is inspiring positive change through the Rotary Fellowship. Let's welcome Sanjay Krishna.
Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. I hope I am audible.
Yes, we are hearing.
Oh, thank you. I bring greetings to one and all from the Rotary International President, Rotarian Gordon R. McAnally, and my home district governor, Rotarian Srinivas Murthy. First of all, I would like to thank Rotarian Maria Muhammad Maharaj for taking this initiative to establish a chapter of Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation in Trinidad and Tobago, and also thank each charter member of this chapter for being a part of this global fellowship group. When we started this fellowship group, when I applied for the RI recognition, I had a challenge before me because there was another fellowship group which was meant for hunting, which used the same or very similar logo that we used. So the name Wildlifers for Conservation, Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, though sounds pretty long, I had to do that to say that we have got nothing to do with hunting. So thanks for introducing me to this August gathering, dear Rotarian Tanya Weston. For those who missed my introduction or those who can't spell my name, I am Rotarian Sanjay Krishna, currently the global chair of this fellowship group, part of Rotary Rajmahal Vilas, Bangalore, Rotary International District 3192. Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation is a group of like-minded individuals who share a common interest, that is wildlife and its conservation. The group received recognition as an international fellowship group from the Rotary International on 5th day of January 2021, and hence we all meet on the 5th day of every month on virtual platform. Please do join us if you through the TNT chapter. All our activities are conducted independent of Rotary International, but in harmony with the Rotary policies. The purpose of our fellowship group is to create awareness about importance of wildlife, to promote lasting friendships and encourage participants to form fellowship chapters like the present one in their respective regions or countries, and have exchange programs with each other to witness and explore the wildlife of that particular region or country while supporting each other's Rotary projects. Our fellowship through Rotary clubs and their community allies is working towards taking action for and a particular species of the bird called the great Indian bustards, which are critically endangered. Only about 100 birds are left in the wild. When Rotarian Maria got in touch with me for the first time, I learned about the wide and wonderful array of wildlife present on your islands. Thereafter, I looked up on the internet to find out that there are nearly 49 types of amphibians, 93 types of reptiles, 433 types of birds, and nearly 100 species of mammals, other than plenty of aquatic life. When I further learned that Trinidad and Tobago is also associated with hummingbirds and home to at least 17 different species, I thought I must plan for a member exchange program between India, Trinidad and Tobago, and explore opportunities to work together on wildlife conservation. Establishment of Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, in partnership with the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, is indeed a welcome decision, as now fellowships are open to any interested individual apart from Rotarians. I promise to extend my fullest support to all your endeavors in achieving the purposes of our fellowship group. Hearty congratulations and my best wishes to RFWC TNT, and hope to meet you all in person soon. Come, let's together make protection of wildlife a way of life. Thank you very much. Over to you, Rotarian Maria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Sanjay. Krishna, we certainly quite motivated by your presentation, and we look forward to working with you in future. Let me now take the opportunity to welcome a very important person who some of you may know, some of you may not know. His name is Kenneth Buru. Before he comes to the podium, may I just remind you all that if you did not know, he is an actor since in the 70s for Trinidad and Tobago. And he did several short films in Trinidad and Tobago. So probably you all may want to get his autograph and so on after. But he is the president of the Rotary Club of the Global Passport and the past assistant governor of the East Trinidad Rotary Clubs. I would ask you to welcome him, who he would introduce our president, Maria Mohammed Maharaj.
Good afternoon, good evening. Not too sure what part of the world you are in at this time, but it gives me great pleasure to introduce Maria Mohammed Maharaj. For the past 25 years, Maria Mohammed Maharaj has been the co-owner and director of client services and marketing at Camo Designs and Productions Limited, a full-service marketing, digital communications and design firm in Trin City, Trinidad. Her specialization lies in delivering integrated marketing solutions to clients across diverse sectors, including corporate, retail, government, and agriculture. She earned her postgraduate degree in mass communications from the University of Leicester, and throughout her career, Maria has undertaken and successfully managed projects for organizations like First Citizens, the Parliament of Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and the University of the West Indies, among others. Beyond her professional endeavors, Maria actively, okay, so I'm just losing my way here a little bit. So she from Trinidad and Tobago. Moreover, she currently holds a position on the board of Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. She served as the executive director of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago from 2020 to 2022. Moreover, she has been a Rotarian since 2012 and was the president of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine from 2018 to 2019. From July 2020 to June 2023, she held the position of Assistant Governor for East Rotary Clubs in Trinidad. Presently, she is the District Advocate for Empowering Girls, a Rotary International initiative launched in 2021. Additionally, she's a member of two Rotary Zones 33 and 34 committees, the Social Media and Empowering Girls committees. It's worth noting that Rotary Zones 33/34 includes the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, and the southern part of the USA. Maria is also a proud graduate of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture and plans to pursue further studies at the postgraduate level in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I present Maria Mohammed Maharaj, President of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter.
Thank you very much, Past Assistant Governor and President Ken. Please allow me to observe the previously established protocols. Professor Woody Vera, Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia, fellow Rotarians, members and guests. This idea for a chapter of this fellowship came about in probably about February this year, when we were looking for projects for a project fair that was coming up in Rotary District 7030, and we were looking to do something on environmental and conservation or related to agriculture. And it was like, when it was decided to be done, it was probably about 3 or 4 days before the deadline, and we contacted Professor Garcia, and we worked together and we came up with this project. And then doing some research, I said, well, you know, the project will be strengthened if we have it either with a Rotary Fellowship or a Rotary Action Group. And fortunately, we found one with Rotary Fellowship for Wildlifers. So it started then, and today it's now a reality. And I want to thank Global Chair Sanjay Krishna, the members of the Global Fellowship, the Faculty of Agriculture, and Professor Woody Vera and Professor Emeritus Garcia, and everyone here for making this a reality today. And I look forward to the many years that we will work together in going forward with this fellowship. So it's a pivotal occasion as we come together to commemorate the establishment of this Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, in partnership with the Faculty of Food and Agriculture at UE. Our shared commitment to wildlife conservation unites us in a mission to safeguard the natural wonders of Trinidad and Tobago. As Professor Woody Vera mentioned, this started with on the insistence, well, I wouldn't say insistence, on the encouragement of past District Governor Leslie, who is also a graduate of this faculty, and he says a proud graduate. He proposed that the Rotary and Rotaract clubs join hands last year, November, And in January this year, he paid a courtesy call to the faculty to further discuss and strengthen this noble initiative. And as I mentioned, the first collaboration came about with the project fair. And two of these projects was a result of a partnership with Rotary and its faculty. And our partnership with the Faculty of Food and Agriculture evolved out of the Imperial College of Trinidad. Well, as Professor Woody Vera mentioned, it's been around since August 1920. And Rotary International itself, with a history spanning 117 years, has bridged cultures and connected continents. Rotary has championed peace, fought illiteracy and poverty, provided access to clean water and sanitation, and waged war against disease. And protecting the environment, which this fellowship falls mainly under, is the most recent area of focus, introduced a few years ago. Safeguarding our planet and its resources, and is a testament to Rotary's commitment to continually build a better world for our current and future generations. Today, as incoming president, I'm honored to lead this fellowship, and our vision is firmly rooted in Rotary principles and extends beyond our shores to create a positive global impact through the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers Global Chapter. Allow me to emphasize that Rotary Fellowships are different to Rotary Clubs. They are international groups that share a common purpose and are open to any individual. Our Trinidad and Tobago chapter stands as the first one to be formed external to the global chapter, based out of India. And this truly exemplifies the spirit of inclusiveness and collaboration within our Rotary global community. Together, we make protection of wildlife a way of life, is a vision of the Rotary Fellowship, as mentioned before. And before I conclude, allow me to introduce the members of our board, each bringing valuable expertise to our cause. Professor Emeritus Gary Garcia, Secretary, Professor of Livestock, retired from the Faculty of Food and Agriculture. He has pioneered ongoing research into neotropical animals, and I know that has been mentioned, neotropical, and maybe not, we might not know what it is. Neotropical refers to wildlife from our part of the world, or what they would call a zoogeographical region, which comprises Central and South America, including the southern part of Mexico and Caribbean. Whereas where Rotarian Sanjeev is located in India, their geographical region would be considered Oriental, am I correct? And well, I see you not saying anything, but there are about 6 or 7 zoogeographical regions around the world, and in our part of the world, it's called neotropical. So moving on, we have Ricardo Juan Carlos Hospitalis, executive member. He's an agriculture education specialist and in agriculture education and livestock science, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you. Veronica de Souza Philip, executive member. She's in Enterprise Risk Services and past president of the Rotary Club of Port of Spain West, and also in assistant governor-elect for 2024-2025 for the North Cluster, Trinidad. Tanya Weston, executive member. She is the franchise holder for Dale Carnegie Training and second term president of the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain. Together with charter members of this fellowship, we are driven by a shared passion for conservation. And I have to add that current members are both Rotarians and non-Rotarians, hailing from varied backgrounds, including we have 2 game wardens. One of them is actually online, a social innovator, an engineer, business owners, accountants, educators and academics, insurance executive. We also have the president, as I mentioned, of the Rotary Club of Global Passport, whose Rotary district is from USA and Canada, and also a past assistant governor from the Rotary Club of North York in Toronto, and also a graduate of this faculty who tells me he's an environmental, natural resources management and conservation, urban, rural, and heritage consultant. Yes, that's one person. And on behalf of the board, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all charter members of this fellowship for joining us in this noble endeavor, and also to the global chapter for the guidance and support in making this a reality. The board is thrilled to announce the exciting projects that will mark our first years of activities. Firstly, we plan to add an educational component to the ongoing Garden with Wings, a butterfly project managed by the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain and Friends of the Botanical Gardens. And this initiative is enchanting and educating visitors by creating a sanctuary of butterflies and other vital pollinators while restoring their natural habitats with lush gardens. The project managers are nurturing their delicate balance of our ecosystem and providing a beautiful spectacle for all to behold. Furthermore, our primary secondary school agriculture project, which I have to express my gratitude to both Mr. Hospitalis and Mr. Ramjatan for actually partnering with our club on this, and also the Early Act Club of the University School. And this embodies the commitment of the chapter to education by imparting knowledge about wildlife and neotropical conservation, as well as sustainable agriculture practices. We aim to nurture a generation of young minds who become guardians of our natural heritage. And we are excited to begin this pilot project at the University School as mentioned, and this has a rich history dating back to 1954. And coincidentally, the University School was actually formed, I'm told, to educate the children of senior staff of the Imperial College of Tropical Agriculture. So I thought that was very coincidental. And looking ahead, we're also looking to plan a transformative 2026 neotropical wildlife tour and expedition to Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, and hopefully Brazil. And as Rotarian Sanjay mentioned, I'm hoping the exchange program will be separate so we could add that as well between India and Trinidad and Tobago. And also our proposed neotropical animal project at the University Field Station in collaboration with its faculty, which will involve research, study, and conservation efforts. As we embark on this journey, let us remember that our actions today will shape the future of wildlife or neotropical and natural habitats for years to come. Together, we make the protection of wildlife a way of life, and together as members of this Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation for Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, in partnership with the Faculty of Food and Agriculture at the University of West Indies, and as part of the Global Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers, let us strive to create a lasting legacy of stewardship. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to our cause of conservation. Together, let us take bold steps towards a more sustainable and harmonious future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, President Maria Mohammed Maharaj. Now, it's not unusual when she goes around the question in Trinidad, are you a Hindu? No. Are you a Muslim? No. So what are you? She happens to be a Catholic. Thank you very much for that presentation. And I think with that, the board, I expect that this chapter would really move ahead. I know we have very positive personnel and who would like to get things done, and I am quite happy to be a part of this chapter. Let me introduce Veronica de Souza Philip, who was the past president of the Rotary Club of Port of Spain West, the assistant governor-elect for 2024-25 of the North Club's Trinidad and Tobago executive member, Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. Her responsibility is to introduce none other than Mr. Ricardo Juan Carlos Hospitalis. Please welcome Veronica.
Right, good afternoon, all protocols observed. Now, my pleasure is to introduce this gentleman, and I'm hearing his name is Ricardo Juan Carlos Hospitales. So very interesting name. But Mr. Ricardo Hospitales is an agricultural education specialist with over 50 years of experience in teaching agricultural science. He holds a master's degree in tropical animal science and production from the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus, Trinidad and Tobago. In addition, he received training in agricultural science at the Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry and completed the Agricultural Education Diploma at the Agricultural Teacher Education Center, ECIAF. During his career, Mr. Hospitales taught at both the Valsain Teachers College and the University of Trinidad and Tobago, where he prepared students to deliver the agricultural science curricula at primary and secondary schools in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for 27 years. His areas of specialization are agricultural education and livestock science, and he is particularly interested in using the school garden thematically, yes, to teach academic concepts across the curriculum and deliver the livestock component of the secondary school syllabi using an inquiry approach. Mr. Hospitales' research interest is centered around the selection of the most appropriate animal to teach livestock science concept at both primary and secondary schools in the Caribbean. He's also the secretary of the Agriculture Multifunctionality Organization of the Caribbean, a group focused on increasing food production and food security in the region. He is an executive member of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, TNT Chapter. Please welcome Mr. Hospitales to the podium.
Good afternoon, all protocols observed. On behalf of the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlifers for Conservation, the Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, I wish to specifically thank Rotarian Sanjay Krishna for bringing together the worldwide conservation players with the vision. Together, we make protection of wildlife a way of life. Together, we pattern behavior of a people. Because when you look at the way of life, it means a pattern of behavior for people. So whose behavior are we trying to change? Whose animals are we trying to change? Whose animals are we trying to protect? So Sanjay Krishna came up with this wonderful vision for us to follow, and we also follow it. This vision has helped Maria Mohammed Maraj to start the Trinidad and Tobago chapter to join the International Fellowship with the same vision, collaborating with all players in neotropical animal wildlife, including the UWI, through Professor Marco de Vera and Emeritus Professor Gary Garcia, who brings his human resource that he has trained through over 30 years with him. The Institute Conservationists, the Ricardo Mead of the El Chico Nature Center, conservationists of the Emperor Valley Zoo, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education to Vishal, who is a garden-based learning expert, the teacher education institutions, including the University of Trinidad and Tobago, UWI Roytech, and CREDI, where teachers are trained and prepared to deliver the curriculum throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Each player has its own agenda. The ex situ conservationists and the in situ conservationists, and they move on parallel paths. Yet a number of our animals and plants are on the endangered list. So something is wrong with what we are doing, because the in situ conservationists and the ex situ conservationists, they have never come together to come up with one plan to conserve our neotropical animals. However, this platform is a vision of Professor Gary Garcia, who began his journey 30 years ago. So I must go back in a bit of history and speak about a gentleman who has collaborated with Professor Garcia over the years. He would have been here today. Unfortunately, he is ill. He is Dr. Francis Davis. Professor Garcia began in researching tropical animals to fill a lacuna in the literature, because there was no information available 30 years ago about any of these neotropical animals. So he started the collaboration with Dr. Francis Davis, who taught the forage course in that particular MSc program that Professor Garcia started. Dr. Davis is a forage agronomist, and he worked at the time at the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Production and Health. We owe him an immense vote of thanks for what he had done. Also in education, in 2006, the University of Trinidad and Tobago was put in control of preparing teachers for both secondary schools and primary schools in Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Davis was the coordinator of the agricultural science program. What he did immediately is that he introduced, for the first time, on a course for the primary school teachers, he introduced a unit on neotropical animals. And he also introduced a full course for the secondary school teachers. Neotropical animal conservation was his title. He, as a coordinator, he insisted on using agricultural literacy as the vehicle for changing attitudes. His vision was agricultural literacy has two components. There's an awareness component and a literacy component. And he felt that at the primary school and the lower primary school, until about age 10, the children will be able to get to love animals using the biophilia theory. So the first thing is for them to love animals. And when they love animals, they will then they can then cognitively learn to take care of them, to house them, to feed them, to keep them healthy, and to breed them in captivity. And then the literacy part will come later on at standard 5, when they are developmentally appropriate stage, where they can then use their abstract thinking to develop their own perspective of conservation of our animals. His collaboration continued with Professor Garcia, because the teachers at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, they needed to interact with experts. Professor Garcia had developed the experts over the years, and Dr. Davis sent his students to all these experts, of which Mr. Romano is one, Sargent is one, So anyone wanted to research any animal, birds on any bird, the coquelicot, the scarlet ibis, he will send them to Mr. Romano. And snakes, he will send them to Sergeant Garcia. So Professor Garcia had a numerous experts. So his numerous experts who we used to learn about these animals because they had the knowledge. At the University of Trinidad and Tobago, one of the assignments that they had to do was to create a nature corner. A nature corner which will show exactly all the aspects of the animal production in that particular nature corner where the animal would live. Vishal Ramjatan has taken that initiative to all primary schools in Trinidad. Last year in his workshops throughout Trinidad and Tobago, he introduced the concept of the nature corner as coming from the Ministry of Education. And he has started one with a workshop at the university school. Using the Rotary Fellowship of Wildlife as for conservation, Maria Mohammed brought all these players together. All these players were on their own agendas, but we are now together under one umbrella. This under one umbrella where we can all come together and discuss and resolve issues related to the conservation and sustainable use of the neotropical animals. We have to develop a critical mass in this country, and that critical mass begins with the children. And when we educate the children, when they come up with their ideas of conservation, and we come up with our ideas of conservation in this group, we can then look to change policies of the government. However, for that to happen, we must first allow our children to love our animals and plants of Trinidad and Tobago before we can ask them to save our biodiversity. I wish to thank the governor of the Rotary Club for your advice on supporting this mission. We also wish to thank Professor Mark Udevera, the Dean of the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, for your valuable support throughout your stay at the university and your support for here today by providing us with the facility and allowing us to access your knowledge. We also wish to thank all persons who made this venture today possible, including those who looked after the decor and those who provided refreshments. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Don Carlos Hospitales. Before we close this program, fellow charter members, I am absolutely pleased with this launch. I think we have started something new, and as Don Carlos says, we are all now under one umbrella, and let's try and push this ahead through our president and support our president. And I urge the executive or the board to get us busy. And finally, let me thank everybody again for being here. And thank you very much for your time and ensuring that we had everything on as planned. I now call this launch a close.